everyone, and welcome to Zest Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that will take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today, it's an absolute honor to welcome the extraordinary Michael Serwa, a coach for the elite, a radical transformer, and a non-nonsense guide to truly having it all. From arriving in London with barely any English and thousands in credit card debt, to now coaching high achievers around the world, his journey is a masterclass in resilience, clarity, and unshakable confidence. He helps people create a 10 out of 10 life in leadership, relationships, health, and wealth. Everything transformation grounded in real experience, not just theory. Here he is today to challenge, inspire, and ignite the vision for us all to create our own extraordinary lives. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Damn, that was quite an introduction. I was like, who is this person she's talking about? I want to meet that person like desperately. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, it's you. And yeah, well, to start with, already meeting you, I know I can see how you have such a way, I believe, with people just being really attracted to you. And I can see how you attract people that want to just really evolve in their lives and connect with you. But as we all know, it doesn't always start like that. And even though, like, just the way you articulate yourself now is incredible, we do know from what you shared with me, there was a time where that wasn't the case. Obviously not in your own language, but particularly in the UK. And I think sometimes a lot of the gems and the magic is going back to that, to then for people to see you can do it. You can do it. We all, not everybody, but we often have this process that we go through. And yeah, I would just love to just for you to share some of that to start with.
Yeah, well, like one of my fundamental beliefs in life is that, and that certainly wasn't the case my entire life. I've developed that in my 20s when I got into personal development at the age of 23, a year after coming to London. And that is that we absolutely can have everything. Right? And I don't recommend for people to work on everything they want to have at the same time. It's good to pace ourselves, not so much pace ourselves, but to be strategic in our approach as to what we work on at any given time, not to overwhelm ourselves. But that's number one. Number two, it can easily take 10 years, right? So we gotta be resilient and persistent and not to give up too quickly to build that 10 out of 10 life for myself. It certainly wasn't a 3-month or 3-year thing for me. But ultimately, we can absolutely have it all. And given my background, given my past, how could I not believe that if I was able to achieve that? And it took me, to be exact, 34 years. I'm 42 now, and I remember the day when I arrived. So it wasn't just like, oh, my life externally was really good, but like I arrived internally, I remember at 34, and then externally, if you will, my life caught up with my internal arrival, right? So 34 years, 11 of which I spent on personal development. When I say that I spent 11 years on personal development after that point, I'm not talking about reading books for 11 years or packing off to India and spending 11 years in ashram. One doesn't have to be doing it at that or with that intensity, right? I was reading books, I was going to events, I was working with coaches while I was doing other things. So I had my retail job until I was 28, and I started my coaching practice at 28. But when I got to personal development at 23, I knew that I found something that I will dedicate my life to, right? So initially, because I didn't know about coaching until I was 28, so for, the first 5 years, I was doing it for myself. It wasn't part of a bigger plan of becoming a coach one day and turning my passion into career. I was just passionate about it. And sure enough, when I sidetracking slightly, when I when I talk to people about finding the purpose, like one of the first questions, or when I work with people on that, one of the first questions I ask them is like, what do you find yourself doing, excuse me, in your spare time when you don't have to,
Yeah.
what do you do outside of your work that you are not happy with, that you want to, because that's usually a good indicator that maybe your passion or your future career is there, in that activity that you find yourself spending time on, that you don't have to spend time on, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So for me, that
yeah.
was personal development, right? So at 28, when I had this epiphany, when I found my calling in coaching, it was just such an obvious transition. It's like, oh, so I'm just gonna continue doing what I've done for the last 5 years, but now I'm gonna be charging for it, and I'm gonna replace my retail job with coaching. Fuck, this is amazing. So sure enough, I haven't worked. I work all the time, but I haven't, quote unquote, worked in the last 14 years.
Yeah.
Because as I'm sure you can relate, like when you find that thing, it just doesn't feel like work, right? And we can
Yeah.
do amazing things and work with amazing people, doing amazing stuff, make a lot of money, whatever. But if it's a passion turning into a career, I know it's such a cliche, turn your passion into a career, but I did fucking turn my passion into a career, right? So cliche or not,
Amazing.
that's what I did.
Thank you so much for highlighting that because I feel like you said two really important things there. First of all, it was the fact that you were doing it before even someone even paid. And I think this is really important for us to know. It's not saying that that's going to be the path for everyone, but like what you said, and I would love your take on this, I feel like sometimes when it is your passion, like even this with what I'm doing, I don't always necessarily see the results financially, but I'm so passionate because, like, as you will know as well, of course, like, we can't live off air, but I get to tap into the mindsets of people like you that are elite leaders in my eyes, and that to me is gold. So it's like I don't see this as something that I'm just continuously chipping away at, like praying and hoping. I'm doing it generally from the goodness of my heart and just believing that when not when the time is right, because I've already seen big significant changes, but I think that's really important what you've mentioned, because sometimes it isn't about getting that instant reward. And I think when a lot of us have been in these jobs where it's like you do this and you get this, it I feel like mentally it's quite a lot to change that way of thinking, and to just not be careless, still be, like what you say, have a strategy and be realistic with it, but also go back to your why. Like, why am I actually doing this? Am I doing this because I just want to eventually get so much money or something like that, or am I generally doing it from a place that I love and I'm passionate about and I enjoy and I do? Sorry to use me, but it's just easier to sometimes use our own example. And I just think we really need to, like, just have more faith. Like, yes, have a strategy, be realistic as well. But I'll just love your take on that, because like what you said, it was a process. It wasn't like an overnight. And I really like that you just didn't say as well that it's like, I know that some people could, but like a couple of years. Like, you generally said, it was a lot that
Five to
you
10.
put into it.
Yeah.
So,
So I was, when I was talking about, like arriving at 34, what I was referring to, just to be clear, to my own personal development, another cliche, personal development journey, right? It took me 34 years to become a man. That's another way of putting it, right? So up to 34, I was a boy who thought he was a man, because like I thought I was a man at fucking 18.
yeah. I
Let me
think all
rephrase that.
18-year-olds do.
Yeah, but let me rephrase that. Especially at 18, I thought I was a man.
I was the man.
That was the dog's bollocks. I just didn't know the expression yet because I didn't speak English yet. But I was the fucking. I thought I was the dog's bollocks. Dog's bollocks, right? And
Yeah.
only at 34, I realized no. I was still looking. I'm not saying that I'm a finished product now. I wasn't a finished product at 34. I'm not a finished product now at 42. I will never be a finished product. But I definitely arrived. Like, I definitely understood who I was at 34, and then also at 34, it took me 34 years to build a 10 out of 10 life for myself. And what I've been doing since, I've been refining things. I haven't been making any major changes, just minor changes here and there. But I haven't, like, my lifestyle hasn't changed in 8 years. What I live, what I do, like all the main things not changed, because by 34 I already knew how I want to live my life, and I never say never, and you never know. But I think it's unlikely for me to make any drastic changes between now and the rest of my life, between what I do, how I live my life, and where I live in terms of the city. Like I think it's really unlikely, right? Because I took this time to really get to the bottom of who I am and what I want, right? So like I was saying, 11 years of personal development. When it comes to my coaching practice, it certainly wasn't an overnight success either. It depends how we look at it, what we consider as a success as a coach, right? So, I couldn't believe that I could be charging £20 per session to begin with, and people were willing to pay me £20 per session for coaching. That thing that I've been doing without realizing, without knowing that it's called coaching, from the age of 18, right? So like my first memories or recollections of people coming to me for advice, or me being Mr. Smartass, telling people what to do, but not like do this, do that, but like, hey, listen, have you thought about it? People were like, oh, okay. And many of those people were older than me. Most of them are older than me. So I thought, how interesting. And then sure enough, when I got into coaching, I started to meet other coaches. I've realized that all the successful coaches I ever came across, I got to know or came across, heard about, found themselves coaching long before they became right. And then I use this analogy of a successful singer. There's absolutely no way a successful singer wasn't singing before they fucking signed a record deal. Like if that's your calling, you're gonna be fucking singing in front of the mirror. That certainly wasn't my case. In front of the mirror, using a fucking hairbrush as a microphone. That's what you're gonna do at 4 or 5 already, right? Typically, right? Not gonna wait until like, no. I have this amazing voice, but I'm not gonna sing unless I get fucking paid for it. Like, come on, So the same with coaches. Like coaches think that, I'm not gonna be doing this unless I get paid X. Like you're never gonna make it. You're never gonna make it. If you're not willing to do it for free, it's one of those professions. If you're not willing to do it for free, you will never make it. You will never fucking make it, right? Because it's. But at the same time, I'm not implying that we cannot charge for it, or we shouldn't charge for it, or we cannot charge a lot for it, right? But like what I'm saying is, if the and you touched on it, if the motivation with certain professions, and not just coaching, obviously, but it's one of those professions where if your main goal is to make money, you won't make much of it, right? Because like the person in front of you, or the people in front of you, they need to come first. And if they don't feel that they come first, they will spend money with a coach where they can feel that. But fortunately, we don't need to choose, because one or the other, because we can do both. We can focus on the people we work with. They can feel it, and if we do it well enough, long enough, the money will follow anyway.
Absolutely. Really wise words. Thank you. And I think even the example of the singer was really powerful, because how much do singers put themselves out there, and that's how they get selected ultimately. Whereas, if we're kind of not showing up, we're not really offering something, we all have like, I have the magic, but I'm not going to give it to anyone unless you pay me. Well, people aren't going to take that gamble, even if they like you. That it's kind of like, because I think particularly for personal development and someone ultimately giving you reins to their mindset, their vision, there's got to be a lot of trust involved in that, I believe.
100%. It starts with trust, because, and also when you think about it, we don't have that much time to build that trust, right? It's not like there's a when you are interviewing to be a partner in a law firm, or a CEO, a director, this multi-stage interview process. There's like what people can find about us online, and there's the initial consultation of some sort. So it's gotta be, doesn't have to be instant, but gotta be quick, right? And like, if people don't like us and trust us, then forget about it. Like, why would you work with a coach you don't like and trust? given that there's so many coaches out there, you can find one that you do like and do trust,
Mm,
right?
agreed.
So
Yeah.
that ability in this line of work, the ability to connect with people is instrumental. It's not like, oh, it's a nice to
Mm,
have. It's fucking instrumental, right? And not just connect with people, but connect with people fast. I'm not saying I'm connecting with everybody instantly. I don't connect with some people at all, and with some people I need an hour to connect like properly, right?
mm-mm.
But definitely, when I think about the characteristics or traits that allowed me to become good at this job is my ability, and I've always had this ability to connect to people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
I can connect as easily or quickly with a builder as I can with a royal, because fundamentally I don't
Mm,
give a sh- I don't see too much of a distinction,
same, same.
right? So it's like you know if you talk to a tradesman with the kind of respect I talk to everybody with, that's, oh, he or she feels, usually he feels good, right? It's like, oh, this person doesn't look down at me because I'm a plumber,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And then equally, when you speak to someone, high net worth individual of some sort, without sucking up to them, they also fucking appreciate that, because
Absolutely.
I've never
Yeah.
been a royal, but if I was, I definitely wouldn't appreciate people sucking up to me, because it's just not my. So, but like when you're surrounded by people who suck up to
Mm,
you, and then there's someone who doesn't, you're gonna respect that person more. So it's
absolutely.
very
Yeah.
simple when you think about it. It's like, how shall I talk to different people? No, just talk to everybody as if they were the same, because guess fucking what? They are the same.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they might have different fucking LinkedIn bio, right? They might have a different background, different education level, obviously, right? But like spiritually, or like on a human level, everybody's the same unless you think
Yeah.
they're not. And the same, and the most important thing, like from a personal development standpoint, is to come from that place of no one is better than you, but equally you are not better than anyone, motherfucker. So like act
Absolutely.
accordingly. And again, it's super easy. It's like, because how shall I act on a date? How shall I act on an interview? How shall I act to my best friend? How shall I act with a stranger? The same.
But like even you saying that, it sounds so exhausting. How should I really like just show up?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
show up.
It's like imagine having a wardrobe full of clothes, and every day you have to make a decision between what
Mm,
shoes to wear. And obviously, women, especially if you're not dress up, the flamboyant gaze, like go and fucking. But like when it comes to how you are with people, think about just having one outfit, and that's the only outfit you have, and that's the only outfit
mm,
you need to wear. You don't need to worry about, will these shoes go with this fucking top? Like it's just one outfit. Like think
yeah.
about like the likes of Mark Zuckerberg. I know he rebranded himself recently, but think about Mark Zuckerberg from a few years ago, always wearing the same T-shirt, and so like when it comes to people, just that, just
Yeah.
plain, just like just this one you, and there is one type of human. Everybody's the same. Like that's my like
Yeah, yeah.
approach. Everybody's the same. I don't care where you're from and what's your religious beliefs, right? Like political views. I don't care. Like, do I like you or not? That's what I care about, right? Like, if I like you, I don't
Yeah.
care who you believe in and who you support politically. I have people I'm close with on all sides of the spectrum, political spectrum, the religious spectrum, and all of that, right? But it's easy when you think about it, because how exhausting would
Mm-mm.
it be to be like, okay, so today I'm meeting to this person, so I need to be like that, and then tomorrow I'm speaking to that person. So I would find it exhausting. I would feel like I'm an actor,
Yeah.
and not just an actor, but instead of working on one project, or let's say 3 months, on Monday I'm shooting a scene for this movie. On Tuesday I need to get
Mm,
another character shooting for that TV series. Fuck me.
yeah.
Isn't
But
it
this
easier
is
to
the
just like
thing,
show
isn't
up?
it? This is the
Yeah,
beautiful thing. You show up as you. It's a natural filtering system anyway,
yeah.
because like for example, particularly professionally, if you're trying to get into the mindset and understand the way that to get someone to like you, it's going to crumble eventually anyway, because it's physically impossible. Like yeah, you
Yeah,
just the sooner you just show up as you, how you present yourself, the values you have, the beliefs you have,
Mm.
obviously being still respectful of the other person, it's naturally going to filter out anyway. So,
Yeah, so it's not like I've run a study on it and I can present you or the audience with evidence of some sort of proof. But I would argue, and I just thought about it now, how one thing for sure, no matter who we are, no matter, and there isn't a person in history that I can think of who's been liked by everyone, right?
that's
When you
it.
think about it, there hasn't been fucking
No.
like I said, I'm not religious, but like Jesus fucking got killed by his
Yeah.
haters, right? Gandhi as well, I think, if I remember correctly. Mother Teresa got so much fucking shit, probably rightly so. This one
If
from
anything, the more famous, the more, or the more
yeah,
known, the more
yeah,
you have the polarity of views.
yeah. John Lennon's getting shot by some fucking psycho, like and to my understanding, he was a good guy. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is like how, no matter how hard you try to be liked by everyone, you will never be liked by everyone anyway, right? And I would
Exactly.
argue that if we were to run a study, research on that, and collect data points, um, it would usually be the person who just doesn't give a fuck. They're just being themselves. That
Hmm.
person would be liked by more people, statistically speaking, or overall, than a person who's trying to be liked by everyone. Because I don't know about you, but like there's one trait I don't like about some people is the fakeness. And if I smell
Yeah.
it, I just no, like I don't want to like be around you because like
Yeah.
I can't trust you. You're talking about trust. How can you trust someone who is this way with one person and
Mm.
completely different with somebody else? Like, who are you then? Like,
Yeah,
how can I,
yeah.
when you think about trust, we trust people when we believe that we know who they are. How are you gonna trust
Mm.
that person, you know, like is who they protect, like show up to be
Mm.
when you know that sometimes they show up to be in a very different manner. So
Mm.
because then you're confused, right? And that confusion prevents being able to trust that person, right? That's like the best way I can
Mm.
explain it, right? Hence, that people like fucking Trump, which I personally cannot stand, but at the same time, I do respect his consistency
Yeah.
with how shit he is. Right? So to me, and that's a personal view,
Yeah.
he is shit. But I respect the consistency in which he's shit because he is always being himself.
Yeah.
Like him or I don't hate him, I just dislike him. Like him or hate him, one thing nobody can argue is that he is fake. He's not. He's always been he's always been himself.
Yeah.
And sure enough, as we all know, he has built quite serious, I would even use the word fanatical following,
Mm.
which again is only possible. I'm not saying that that should be anybody's goal or like that's a great goal to have. That's certainly not my goal to build a fucking any following, let alone fanatical. Like, guys, rest assured, I'm not starting a church. I'm not running for any fucking office. I don't
Not
need a
yet.
cult. Yeah, I'm not starting a cult. But it's would he be able to achieve what he achieved, the biggest job in the world, right? If he wasn't authentic to himself, given that he doesn't have any like
Mm.
political background, like any other credentials, like his IQ is like probably below 100. Just kidding. It's probably 105. Let's give him that, right? So, but the power of authenticity,
I
right?
think also what you've touched on, which I would love your take on this, is he's memorable. Whether it's a good memory or
100%,
not, he's
100%,
memorable.
100%.
Um, and that's the thing, because he's consistently
Yeah,
memorable.
and he's funny. Like I give him that. Like he's charismatic, and it's I think I can totally understand why he's been voted to be a president like twice. Like even though
But even that in itself speaks volumes, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. So
And
like whether like I don't care about politics. I just don't like the guy because I don't trust him. We're talking about trust, and
yeah.
I don't trust him not because he's not consistent. He is, like I said, but I just don't. Anyway, let's move on. He doesn't deserve this much of my energy. He doesn't.
But again, this says a lot. Like I feel like there's messages and everything, and even this says a lot, doesn't it? Like, that his name has still been brought up even in a
Yeah, no,
discussion.
because when we talk about consistency, I mean, and authenticity, I mean, he's a
Mm,
fucking poster child for authenticity. Like,
mm,
whether I like someone or not, when the credit is due, the credit is due. And I'm not gonna be like, oh, no, no, I don't like this person, therefore I don't like anything about them. Really?
yeah.
Like, not a single thing? Well, so don't let
But
your like,
it's back to that, isn't it? It's back to that. People are always going to talk anyway. And actually, if people are
yeah,
talking positively or negatively, you're
yeah.
clearly doing something that's
Yeah,
creating a
absolutely,
reaction.
absolutely. Like the worst thing, like, when
Yeah.
it comes to achieving success of any kind, so whether it's politics, whether it's coaching, whether it's music industry, the worst thing you can do is, or the worst spot you can find yourself in is to be invisible, is to be someone that doesn't enter conversation, right?
Yeah,
Because then it's like, sorry, who? Because like
exactly.
or be the person who we talked about networking events before we started recording, right? Be the person that someone spent 20 minutes talking to at a networking event, and by the next morning they have absolutely no recollection of talking to them.
Mm.
That's
Or
that.
like you have those times where someone say it's a 2 day thing and you'll hear people, you'll be in discussions and they'll say, "Oh, you would have loved it yesterday." And they're like, "I was there." And like for me, I think, we're not saying everyone has to be bold and out there but but yeah, I think when you're particularly someone who is wanting to go somewhere, make an impression, particularly business or what, not even business, even like on a date. Like you wouldn't want someone to just be like, uh, oh yeah, what was her name again? Or what was his, who doesn't want to be memorable?
Yeah, and on that front, for all the introverts listening to that, because let's not forget there's around 50% of us being extroverts, including the loud ones like myself, and then 50% introverts. It would be a mistake to think that only extroverts can be memorable or one has to be an extrovert. That's absolutely not the
I
case.
was about to say, I think
That's
that's super
absolutely
important
not
what
the
you're
case.
mentioning because actually, I was talking to someone about this recently, and the person who's usually sat in the room listening,
Mm,
people are most intrigued by because they
100%.
want to know what do they think of something. It's
Yeah.
okay, I'm just listening right now,
Yeah.
and there's
So
even power in that,
100%. So in a group dynamic, it's not the person who talks the most or who's the loudest, certainly not the loudest. Is the person that the most people at that table, let's say if it's a table, are looking at, whether consciously or unconsciously seeking approval
Mm-mm.
of while they speak. That's the most important person at that table in terms of the
Mm.
power dynamic, not on a human level. I'm not saying on a human level, but
Yeah,
yeah, to your point, it's like, the loudest person, the one that speaks the most, or the one wearing the most colorful clothes. It's and if you're an introvert, by definition, you will be, or you are better equipped to listen,
mm. And read the
actively
room.
listen, and connect with someone, because extroverts, and I'm guilty of that myself sometimes. I can sometimes be too busy talking to listen actively. So for anyone who doesn't
Absolutely.
know
It's definitely
what
a skill I had to learn.
what
Yeah,
active listening is, it's when you listen in a way that the other person feels, and that's really fucking hard. It sounds like, okay, I can do that, but it's easier said than done in my experience, for an extrovert especially. Listening in a way that the person who is speaking and you are listening to feels like nothing else exists at
mm.
that time. You listen so intently that this person feels like, damn. So I haven't met Tom Cruise, but I heard that he is a pro when it comes to that intent. Like you, like
But
he
that
will,
says it all, doesn't it? Because
yeah,
it's not necessarily like what you say about the most flamboyant, the most loudest. It's that it's that feeling you get that wow, this person is really I feel seen. I feel
yeah,
seen.
100%.
I feel honored in this moment. And so thinking about that with when you have your clients
Yeah.
and designing, like, because you mentioned this earlier, which I think is really important again, when you said about the 10 out of 10 life.
Mhm.
And like what you said, and I think particularly thinking about our nervous system and things like that, people want, to go in and all of a sudden have this huge transformation, which is often a lot on the internal system, let alone the external. So thinking about that while still keeping their authenticity and them, who they are, and their vision and whatever they have, would you say when the client comes, you kind of map out their whole vision, or do you just maybe focus on one area at a time?
Yeah, so people don't necessarily come to me. Sometimes they do, but it's not like everybody comes to me for me to help them figure out what the vision is.
Mm-mm.
Most of my clients are already very accomplished
Yeah.
in life, so they come to me to work on one particular area. They come
Yeah.
to me refining. They, they don't come to me for me to help to build a life with them. They already have lives which are, very advanced, let's say, right?
Yeah.
At this stage of my career, anyway, that wasn't certainly the case when I first started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whether it's one area, multiple areas, if they come to me, it means that, the bottom line is, if they come to me, it means that their life is not 10 out of 10 yet. So
Mm-mm.
then there's this assessment that I do during the initial consultations, which is how I always start every new coaching relationship. There's an initial consultation, which lasts a few hours, and some of the people on the back of these consultations become clients, and we continue our relationship. Some of them is like a first date that never turns into a second date, right? No problem. Of course, either way. So the assessment is me asking them to score themselves out of 10 on 25 different areas.
Wow.
And 0 being I'm extremely dissatisfied in this area, and 10 being I'm extremely satisfied, right? And the 25th area is the general happiness. And the interesting thing is that how the general happiness score at the bottom, so the 25th area, is almost always the exact average of all the other scores.
Wow.
Right? It's an exact average, almost always, right? Which obviously, when you think about it, answers the question, what's the secret to happiness? And the answer is, there isn't one. All you gotta do.
Happiness is defined differently by everyone, isn't it? So
yes and no, because I think I know why you said that. However, I've done over 2,000 of those assessments, over 2,000
yeah.
consultations, right? And that happiness score is almost always, like I said, the average of all the other scores, right? So to me, it's like, how do we define happiness? Well, to me, it's very simple. If we are satisfied in those 24 areas on top, we will be happy at the end of the day. If we are not satisfied, we won't be happy. So you see, that's why I said yes and no, because yes, I know what you mean, right? So like, yes, different people will prioritize, or they will value different areas of their life, but unless the average of all those scores is high, they won't be happy.
Yeah.
So this is not something that I think, this is something that I know, and I know it because I've done 2,000 plus of those. So there's just so much, there's an overwhelming evidence that this is how it works. Right? Unless the people who come to me are unique, but they're not. They are unique in many ways, but not in a way they approach life, I don't think, right? Because it's
but also like 2,000 plus, like it's not like a little
stuff. I think even like when I go to like 200, it's like, well, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence, but like 2,000 plus, right? And the areas on top is like, anything you can think of importance will fall into one of those 24 areas. So things like love life and career and finances and confidence and self-love and work-life balance and health and fitness and anything, family and friends, right? So surely if someone was to score themselves at 8 out of 10 on all of those 24 areas, they will have no reason not to be happy at the end of the day, right? And equally, if someone scores themselves on average 4 out of 10 on those 24 areas, the happiness will be 4 out of 10 as well. Because how could they be at 8 out of 10 on a happiness level if all the other areas, or the average of all the other areas, is 4 or 5. You
Absolutely.
see, unless they smoke some good fucking weed, they're just like, you know what? I'm
In those
fat.
areas.
I'm fat. There's no fucking people in my life. I'm jobless, but the weed is so good. Like,
Yeah.
so there will be exceptions, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But not like the people who come to me, there's no exceptions, right? Because they're like, yeah, love life 5, career 6. So you see, like the people who come to me, when they come to me, their life is not bad, but it's not great either, right?
Mm-mm.
So typically, the general happiness score of the people who come to me for initial consultations is anywhere between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we do what we need to do to get that 4, 5, or 6 to around 8 out of 10,
Well,
which is
well, well,
typically
that's
there.
what I was thinking. I know you say 10 out of 10, but I think if you're an 8 out of 10 already, I don't think you're even having the assessment.
No,
Like,
no, but
that's
you
life, isn't
for
it?
sure. No, no. So there is a difference between 10 out of 10 life
Ah.
and so life and happiness. Because
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
yeah, no, because like I didn't talk about it, but like I have a 10 out of 10 life since the age of 34 without a question, but I'm not 10 out of 10 on the happiness level. Because
Thank
10,
you for
10
highlighting
out
that.
of 10 on a happiness level would mean to me that I'm 10 out of 10 happy from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep every day of the week, which is certainly not the case, right?
Yeah, but
Because it's like,
I think
yeah,
that's such a pressure for anyone to want to put
no,
on
but
their
that's the
life.
thing.
Like,
We were talking about trust before. Sorry,
yeah,
we were talking about trust before. Like if someone told me like I'm 10 out of 10 all the time, like,
no.
I'm,
There's
I'm
some suppressing going on there.
I'm a fucking life coach. I do this as a job, and I'm a 10 out of 10, and I have a good life. So, what about like those human emotions such as sadness,
Yeah,
loneliness? Like you never feel that, Mister or Mrs. fucking 10 out of 10. Like,
yeah,
and that's why I said, not because I'm like, oh, let's be realistic. That's why I said I typically take my clients from 4, 5, or 6 to 8. I didn't say 9 or 10
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's an average happiness score. So obviously, I say obviously, let me rephrase that. Yes, there are times or days when I feel 10 out of 10, but there are
Mm-mm.
times and days when I feel 6 out of 10,
But I
right?
think that
That's why
goes
8 is the
back.
average.
Yeah, I think that's really important what you've just mentioned because, like what you said, life and emotions aren't necessarily, well, no, they're not because your house, your relationship, whatever, there are things that like obviously there's some things we can control, but there's lots that we can't control when other people are in the
Absolutely.
mix.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why like I think, if we're robotic and just being high vibrational and mustn't be sad, then at the end of the day, we might be having the 10 out of 10, but I'm sure our partner's not 10 out of 10 when they just want to cuddle or they've just experienced something and we're like, oh, you'll get over it. Remember, we're happy, or like this is not how we show up in life. It's not how we respond to people. That's not how we're going to build trust and likability and want people to be around us because at the end of the day, we are all spectrums of emotions. It's not to say to sit in it and being a victim and poor me. Like no one also wants to be around that all the time. But we have to feel things and we have to recognize things and just be like, okay, today's just one
My
of those
day.
days.
Not, yeah, so I feel incredibly, like, not just sad sometimes, like, for no particular reason, because, as I said multiple times, you know, from the age of 34, looking at my life, talking about my life, and not seeing it as 10 out of 10 would be ungrateful. Like, would be me being ungrateful. It's like, seriously? Like, when I catch myself, like, moaning too much, like, not externally, I don't moan externally, just internally.
Yeah.
I'm still an Eastern European man, so that would be expected, like we not want to moan, externally. We suppress it. And when I go too far, I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'll coach myself out of it. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, what are you complaining about? Like, I don't know. Like, shut the fuck. Like, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
allow myself to feel sad, but I don't allow myself to go into this fucking
Yeah.
Unless something bad would happen or will happen, then that's different, right?
Yeah.
But like, what are you complaining about? You love what you do, you're healthy, the loved ones are healthy, you live in London, my favorite city, like, what are you complaining about?
Mm.
But despite, like, to your point, like, yes, we can feel like the life is great, but we'll still feel those human emotions that
Yeah.
every healthy human being feels, right? So if someone doesn't feel, like, we know that if someone doesn't feel empathy or compassion, it's not like, oh, they're so tough. No, they're a fucking psychopath, right? There's a clinical term for it. It's called a sociopath or psychopath, right? Someone who
Mm.
doesn't feel remorse. Like, it's completely unhealthy not to feel those emotions, right? And the same goes for sadness,
Yeah.
a sense of loneliness. It's like, oh, like, of course you feel lonely sometimes, motherfuckers. You live by yourself. You chose to live by yourself. No, no, no. We can be in a loving relationship and with a bunch of kids running around
Yeah.
and still feel lonely sometimes, right? So,
Absolutely.
so I think it's important for everybody to, because what I find with my prospective clients, um, they're often very successful, and especially if they are male. They often don't talk to anybody about how they feel about things, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes, and if they don't do personal development of any kind, which is usually the case for my clients when they come to me, they sometimes think that their experience of life, how they feel about certain things, is unique to them.
Mm.
And I say, first of all, let's just start here. That's what you just described, Mr. Prospect or Miss Prospect, Mrs. Prospect. That's super common.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can see the reaction, like the sense of not surprise, like, really, but like, huh, like, yeah, that's super common. And sometimes, if it's true, I would say something like, oh, this is the second time this week someone is sharing
Mm.
this particular state with me. That's how common it is, right? And
Yeah.
when you think about it, that realization in itself comes with a sense of relief.
Yeah.
Because when you don't talk, especially men, if we don't talk about how we feel, and if we are led to believe that we need to be tough and we need to be feeling good at all times, and obviously that's impossible, right? As we discussed.
Mm-mm.
Then when you find out that actually what you're experiencing is completely fucking normal, and let's not forget, so we like, as coaches, we can sometimes forget that the vast majority of people, and often those people are smarter than us, better educated
Yeah.
than us, they haven't read the books that we've read. They haven't done the work that we've done. So for us, it's like obvious, but that's like, it's obvious for a plumber, everything to do with plumbing, like how to fix plumbing, but
Mm-mm.
it's not for the rest of us, right? So we mustn't assume, what I'm trying to say, like, we mustn't assume that just because something is obvious to us or easy to us is going to be easy to everybody else, because that's not the case, right? And obviously those people come
Yeah.
to us because they believe we know something they don't know. So then together
I
we can
think,
figure this out.
yeah, I think that's really powerful what you've just said, Michael, because I think what I just took from that is like what you said, almost because it is a certain person sometimes that maybe does the role of a coach or something, we kind of undervalue things that maybe are more natural to us. And like, I think that's really like, even in you saying to someone, that's common. I've experienced that, or I had a client this
Yeah.
week. That literally, just that, when we think about the mindset and well-being, particularly of men, I agree with you. That in itself is powerful, so powerful. And I always think like they think like with a coach or something, like the coach is going to come in and do sort this area of their life. But a lot of it is actually that accountability, that rapport, that whatever other words we want to use, and it's having that more structured way of believing in yourself, and having someone recommend a resource and building that stamina, not just physically but in the mind. And I think it's super important. I think you really touched on something really, really crucial there. And I know just in anyone listening to that's just so powerful, because I think we always think, maybe we need to go see a therapist, or we need to go and sit with someone with a clipboard. Not saying that's what they always do. People don't want that sometimes, because that feels to people like they've not failed, but there's something wrong. Whereas actually just having that conversation, man to man or whatever, we don't have to go into genders, that's really powerful. And I think a lot of men just hearing that alone, it really changes the way we think about having a coach, I think. Or
Yeah.
a mentor as well.
Yeah, but then at the same time, and obviously I'm a coach, and that's the only thing that I do. But as much as I love coaching and recognize the importance of it, um, I would argue that therapy is even more important than coaching. So let me explain.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I see coaching, to use medical analogies, I see us coaches as plastic surgeons, right? And there's huge importance in that. Like, imagine being born with, I don't know, like this certain part of your body that it's really affecting your confidence level and you
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
pain, and and then the plastic surgeon fixes that over a few hours, and you're just like, I've seen that with people. Or that's not extreme at all, but like an extreme example of like someone being in some accident, and they end up with their face being disfigured, and that
Yeah,
plastic surgeon fixes that, right? So they could leave without that surgery, but the quality of their life would be dramatically compromised because they are disfigured, right?
yeah,
So in other words, it's a enhancement for the most part. Like plastic surgeons, what they do, they enhance someone's appearance, right? So
yeah,
someone looks good or okay, and then they have a plastic surgery and they look better, and therefore they feel better,
yeah,
right? So I see, and obviously, as you know, different coaches work differently. Some of them are going deeper than the others. I don't go. I go deep enough. I don't go very deep, right? So
yeah, yeah,
I don't go. There's therapy, there's coaching, and there's overlap in between. And
yeah.
some coaches go over there, and there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I don't, right? So I don't want to say, because that's not quite exactly the case, how people come to me with more superficial goals, right? It's like, oh yeah, like, can you make my nose look magnificent, right? To use that plastic surgeon analogy, right? But yeah, when somebody has already 5 out of 10 life, or the 5 out of 10 on the happiness level, it's about enhancement. It's not about saving someone,
Yeah,
right? Whereas, using this medical analogy again, I saw therapists as more of the doctors that
yeah,
deal with victims of like accidents, right? And it's like they literally save their lives, right? Because
yeah,
because because when somebody ends up in therapy, obviously there are, all sorts of people going to see therapists, but there will be a certain percentage of people who go to seek a therapist who are nowhere near of feeling 5 out of 10 on a happiness level. They're at the
absolutely.
0, 1, or 2, right? So for those people, it's not about, hey, can you make my pretty nose look even more pretty? No, for them, it's like,
Yeah,
I don't have a nose. Can you build one for me? Like, because it's like,
yeah,
their life is shit because they
yeah,
carry a trauma or a wound from the past that is so fucking heavy, that is weighing them down so much that they can't function like most people, right? So
yeah,
it's on those bases that, as much as I love coaching, I'm the first one to say, if coaching was to disappear from the face of the planet today, nobody would even realize, no one would even realize that tomorrow, right? It's not one of those professions where we would be in trouble as a society. Hence, we didn't have a profession of coaching, 50 or 60 years ago. We had people coaching without knowing that they were coaching, right? But
yeah, yeah,
there was no life coach you could go to the best of my knowledge, 50, 60 years ago, right?
yeah. I
Whereas
agree
whereas,
with
thera-
you.
whereas therapy has been around for like, so yes, therapists get some shit from people, myself included, sometimes, like I have a problem with certain like aspects, not of the therapy as a discipline, but how certain therapists go about doing what they do, right? But then I have a problem with just about anything and anyone.
But then
It's a very
I was gonna
particular,
say, but we could kind of say that about, like when people say like everyone's a coach now, but it's not everyone's a coach because not everyone is the same type of coach. So I love
Yeah,
that you brought that up, that you know generally your clientele and you
yeah,
know the area that you specialize in and what you like to offer. And I think that's super important because it goes back to what we were saying earlier of if you kind of just like, okay, yeah, I'll do this for you and I'll do this for you. It's very confusing. And I think it's not saying that we can't be a coach to everyone, but there's that almost like that abundance, but it's like even as a coach, that's very overwhelming. Whereas, you have your assessment, you see your results, and you know what it is people are coming to you for and what they're going to receive.
yeah,
Whereas, if we're then like going down into the therapy and we're going deep into this one and this programming and already it feels like heavy, doesn't it?
yeah.
Um,
But it's the best combination for some people would be having a therapist and a coach at the
Yes,
same
yes,
time.
yeah. But like what you
Right?
said, it's an enhancement, and I think that's super important. And again, it's not like making out as something privileged either, because even coaches have coaches,
Mm.
because we all have blind spots. For us to even you saying, 10 out of 10 life, but I'm sure there's still areas you're working on. We always want to progress, we always want to up level, we always want to expand. I know they wouldn't have seen your face then because I would have been talking, but
You don't
it
want
was
to fuck with
brilliant your face
perfection.
there.
You don't want to mess with perfection. No, just kidding. No, but
Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. And I will put all your details of everything that you offer. And I know there will definitely lots of people that would be very interested to get in touch with you. It doesn't have to be linked to that, but one thing I always love my guests to share is if there was someone listening right now that really benefited from hearing something, anything, what would you tell them?
get a coach.
Get a coach. You're supposed to point to yourself at the same time.
No. No, just get a coach. Not like to your point. There's plenty of coaches
Yeah,
out there doing different things in different ways. Find a coach that is right for you, and that's gonna be someone different for everybody listening. So, but that's my universal answer to questions like that. What's
amazing.
the best piece of advice you can give to people? Get a fucking coach. Oh, but what about someone listening who doesn't have the money for a coach? That's impossible because coaches charge. The range is from zero, right? Like trainee coaches
Yeah.
looking for practice clients. You can find them. There's a website called Coach Me Free. I
Oh
think it's
wow.
.co.uk, and there is this directory of trainee coaches looking for people to practice on, right? And I work with coaches, I mentor coaches on a regular basis, and the ones who are new to coaching, the first thing I get them to do is to get 5 practice clients. And I know, and me charging £20 per session, which was almost free back in the day, I know how much good we can create even at that level of
Yeah.
juniority, right? Because the vehicle called coaching that we use is so fucking powerful that so anyone can afford a coach. It's just whether or not you are willing to do the work, because
Mm,
that's like sometimes I'll be like, coaching is like, they're not resisting coaching, they're
yeah.
resisting what
The
they
mirror
understand
of
comes.
themselves.
Yes, like I don't want to be like assessed. Fucking ask me, just come like, I don't want that. So like, that's stupid. It's like, okay, stay fucking miserable then. Like, if you think personal development is stupid, if you think therapy is stupid and coaching is stupid, okay, I'm not judging you. I just don't be around me, because I don't like hear you fucking complaining and not doing anything about it. Because when people complain,
Yeah.
okay, this fucking sucks, but here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, you have my attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Life is the complaining without. It's like, okay, so like, I'm like, I'll hear someone complain for. I'll give them 10 seconds on a good day, right? On a
Mm-mm.
generous day, I'll give them 10 seconds. And then it's like, okay, what are you doing about it? Or what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And if they're like, uh, then it's like, listen, I'm not interested in your complaints. Because
Absolutely.
it's just like this, like, no, that's not how I operate. And I
Yeah.
like fucking go and feel sorry for yourself over there, like over here. This is like no complaining zone, and I'm protecting that
But
zone. I'm
I think
protecting
this
that
is
zone
important because
ruthlessly.
yeah, everything we've spoke about, you're representing right now. Because, like, again, if someone's listening and being like, whoa, whoa, well, this is him authentically showing up, then there'll be other people like, I want to connect with this man now. And this is the thing, when you show up authentically as yourself, it filters out.
Yeah, I was thinking it will come very handy when I do decide to run for the president of the United States,
Yeah.
or when I do decide to start a church, and poke some of the people from Scientology or something, but no, it's getting a coach or getting on a personal development journey, like doing that thing that I did from the age of 23, because I know what this allowed me to become as a man, as a
Mm,
human being, right? It's not like I was born and I had all the fucking answers. I still don't have all the answers, obviously. I'll never have all the answers, but starting that journey at 23, I was like, oh fuck, but like it took you, 11 years to arrive. Like, yeah, you want to fucking start learning something and arrive within a year. Well, it just doesn't work like that. Well, but can I get there faster? Maybe instead of 11, you can take 9 or 10 years, but you know,
yeah. I,
but it's whether it's a business that we start or a family that we want to build or a certain body that we want to build, right? Things take time, right?
yeah.
As you know, and not thinking so would be just naive. It's like, okay, you just either naive or just plain stupid, But like, here's the reality: like, things take time, So get it in your
Yeah.
head, but when you think about it, knowing that should come with. I'm not sure if the relief is the right word. Like, oh, okay, that's why I don't have what I wanted yet, because I've only been doing it for 18 months.
Mm.
Okay, I should just keep going. Yes, just keep going. You're on the right track. Just take the first step.
Yeah.
Take the first
I
step.
think that goes back to, though, that when people crash diet or something for a holiday and they,
Yeah.
be really good, and then they go on holiday and then they're like, but I don't get it. I feel like I've doubled in weight. Well, it's back to that, the mindset that are you creating a life that you are going to sustain, or are you just quickly doing something just for the now? Because
Yeah.
ultimately we want to create a strong foundation that will carry us through life. Like what you said, like to sit there now and say, I actually don't feel like my life will change too much, because I can say confidently, I built a 10 out of 10 life
Yeah, no,
because you've really thought about it.
yeah, I don't, it's between, from the age of 34 till the rest of my life, it's gonna be about refining the 10 out of 10 life. It's not about building it anymore because it's
Yeah.
built. It's like my fitness, like, oh, what are your fitness goals? I don't have any. What do you mean? But you go to the gym 3 times a week. Yeah, but my only goal is to maintain
Mm.
looking like that, the way I look. Not that I look so special, but I'm happy with how I look. Looking like that in terms of the muscle tissue versus fat percentage, body composition, whatever we call it. My only fitness goal for the rest of my life, as it stands, is to look exactly like that for the rest of my life.
Amazing.
So it's
But
a, so
that's a powerful intention you've set on your life, and
yeah,
that's
and 82.5 kg is my weight, and I've had the same weight. 82.5 kg is my sweet spot. I've had the same
why.
body weight for the last 7 years. All right, and I'm confident I will maintain it for the rest of my life, unless I will strategically want to make a change. Because it's just like all I gotta do is to do the same thing I've been doing for the last 7 years, and I will just. And it's not like, oh, it's so easy for me. It's like I have fast tablet. I don't. Like, it's not easy, but it's doable.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you
So,
so
so, so then
much for that.
applying, that same philosophy, if you will, to other aspects of
Yeah.
life, and then, life is good. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. It's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, I'm excited for you and all you keep doing and creating. You've definitely motivated me. Thank you so, so much, Michael.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.